In this interview, we sit down with Jon Abt. And a few minutes into the interview, his brother Jon. They're two of the four brothers behind the family's Chicago retail business, Abt, which their grandmother helped launch in 1936 with $800. Today, Abt is the largest independently owned single-location retailer of electronics, appliances, and home goods in the U.S., with a 100,000 square foot showroom in the Chicago suburb of Glenview. Mike and Jon talk about the philosophy that's carried the company for nearly 90 years, saying yes to any reasonable customer request, and why keeping everything in-house, from deliveries to displays, has let them keep growing while so many competitors have been bought out or closed for good. Hi, Mike. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's start with just a little bit of a foundation here. Tell me a little bit about the history of your family business and then your own career path into the family business.
Right. We were started as App Radio back in 1936. My grandpa was working at another store. He was a gambler, and my grandma saved some money. $800 is the story, to have him start his own business. My grandma it was really her idea, and her brothers were in the fruit business. And they get up early in the morning, and there was a bunch of guys, and they did not want a woman working in their business.
Yeah.
So she's like, all right, Dave, we're going to start our own business. And she saved a little bit of money. They started with a little teeny radio store in Chicago on Logan Square. And it grew from there. And it didn't grow very fast. It was a very small business for a long time.
Yeah. And then your own path into the family business, what was that like? Was it something you always knew you were going to do? Was it something you really did not want to do at first? It's always a different story, you know?
Yeah, no, for me, I felt like I was pretty smart, and there was no way I wanted to work as hard as my dad. Yeah, he worked all the time. He was 100+ hour a week guy. He was always bringing his work home with him. So when I'd see him, he's working on the couch. We'd sell appliances, so he was setting up deliveries for the next day for the appliances. And I'm like, Dad, yeah, I love you, but that's too much work for me. I can't do that. So my goal was I wanted to become a doctor. I actually even went to med school. Three out of the four brothers didn't want to go in the family business. One always thought he was a simple brother. He's like, oh, I like this business. So my goal was to not be in the business. I was passing through on the, I left grad school, med school. I was passing through, and my dad was still using we called it the milk crate, but he was still setting up runs in the milk crate. And I'm like, Dad, I'm going to get you computerized, and then I'm leaving. I'll give you a year of my time. You paid for college. And that's how I ended up there. I loved it. I loved working with my brother. I loved working with my grandma. And it was fantastic working with my father. And then other brothers came into the business.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a great. So I've heard that story a few times about, hey, I'm going to come in, I'm going to help you out for 6 months or a year, then I'm out of here. And then, lo and behold, you never leave because it sucks you in. And it sounds like it sucked you in a good way. Like you said, it wasn't like you got stuck there. You just really enjoyed it. So that's very cool.
Yeah, no, really, it was. And when my dad told us two things, never to lie and always be your own boss. And, and it was a way to be your own boss. And, that filled that itch. And I was able to do every other thing I wanted outside the business besides working in the business.
Absolutely. Excellent. Hey, Jon.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Okay.
Mike, you answered the question already about the history of the family business and your own career. Jon, I'll kind of ask you the same thing. Can you tell me a little bit about your path into the family business? We heard a little bit about Mike's career. Can you talk a little bit about yours?
Thanks for having me. Sure. I've got my start probably similar to Mike. We all worked at a very young age, working in our warehouse, getting calls from our dad to come into work. It was too busy. Stores overrun with people. We need you today. We sometimes dreaded answering the phones. Especially on a nice summer day. But we learned from a real young age. Our dad was he was very, very hard worker. Worked till 2, 3, 4 in the morning every night, and he was a workhorse. And our aunt was there, our uncle was there, our grandma was there, grandpa, it was a fun family environment, very different from. It's still a fun family environment today, but a very different kind of fun family environment here.
Yeah, for sure. And John, one of the things that Mike was saying was that he had no intention of joining the family business at first, and that he kind of came in to help with some tech stuff and thought he might hang around for a year, and then he kind of got sucked into it in a positive way. Like he really just found that he enjoyed it. I was curious with you, was it something growing up? Obviously, you had to pitch in and help, but was it something you saw yourself doing when you got older?
Not at all.
Okay.
Mike and I were very similar under that path. Our two other brothers were I think they kind of knew exactly what they wanted to do from a young age. They wanted to be in the business, but I worked in the music business. I was doing marketing and promotion, and Mike actually in the mid late '90s put up a website, and I was living out in Los Angeles at the time, and he said, "What do you think?" And I said, "I think you need some help." So that's really how I got professionally how I got involved with the business was building out our first e-commerce platform in the late '90s and lending some marketing expertise into the business. So it was kind of a natural progression. Mike was really on a very different path with medical school and so and whatnot. But I don't know. It all sort of came to be. Our dad worked very hard to get us, all four of us, involved and invested in the business. Which
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love those stories where, because I've heard it many different versions of this story where, hey, I didn't have any intention to join the family business. And sometimes it's like, yeah, I'm still here because I got sucked in a bad way. I got kind of trapped here. And for you guys, it sounds like no, you came in and actually realized that it was something that was a good fit for you. So I love that. And I wanted to I like to ask this question too because I feel like every family has a different thing. And I don't know if you have these written down anywhere, but if I were to ask, what are the core values or operating principles that have remained constant throughout your company's history? What would they be, and kind of how do you make sure that they last through each generation, and that each generation is kind of aware of like, hey, this is how we do things. These are our core values. No matter how the business changes, this is what we stick to.
You want to address that one, Mike, or are you asking me specifically? I'm not sure.
Either one, yeah. Whoever wants to jump in.
Well, I'll do it from the business. It's so simple. I mean, it's so
Yeah,
simple. The answer is yes to any reasonable request. That's our motto.
yeah,
Any
yeah,
any group of business owners who come by and look, they all take that picture of our signs all over the place. We don't have an employee manual. We don't have a lot of rules anywhere. We just really
yeah,
want, we really focus on the customer, and we really want the answer to be yes to anything that customer asks. It's so simple. I
yeah.
could go
If
on
it's
and on
reasonable.
about what my dad wanted and, how he wanted us to tell the truth and work hard and, all that's values too. But the core thing is just say yes to customers. And we're all
Yeah,
focused on that.
excellent. Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that too, Mike, because you had mentioned that before. Honesty, like as far as a core guiding principle for your family, and I guess everyone also who works for the business is just honesty. Always tell the truth, right? Which is another thing that's very simple, but something that you have to, I guess, instill in folks. And how do you instill those two guiding principles in like the next generation that's coming up, and really everybody that you hire? Like, do you have to reinforce those values a lot, or is it just kind of ingrained in how you do things?
It's not easy to say yes when a customer is asking you for something a little unique.
Yeah,
So it usually takes an employee, 6 months or a year before they will say yes. They're going to go to
yeah,
I got to go to a manager, and we hate that.
right.
We don't want them to decide. We want them to decide right there what the answer is. Yes. So we instill it by reminding people, hey, that's nice that you're asking me, but you don't need to ask me. Just say yes and figure out how to do something. The
Yeah,
truth, the truth, we don't, if you're not going to be truthful, we just get rid of you. We're very strong
right.
on that. And even within with ourselves, we never, no brother would ever lie to me ever. We just don't
Yeah,
do that. So it's
yeah,
like that was built into us as little kids.
yeah.
And
Well,
I think we're good with the employees on that too.
I love that just say yes policy because I mean, and I know we're not just talking about family members here, we're talking about everybody, but as you guys probably have heard, in a lot of family businesses, that is not the policy, right? The policy is there's a whole chain of command that you have to go to every time you want to make a decision, especially like if you're younger, if you're one of the next gen leaders and there's still senior generation leaders there. It's like, yeah, you got everything comes through us, right? Like somebody asks you something, you got to ask me for permission before you give them an answer. And that's obviously not how it works. So do you feel like that's kind of empowering once people get used to it? Do you feel like that's kind of an empowering way to feel when you're working there?
I would say so. I think they're afraid of it at first. As Mike says, it takes them a little while to sort of realize how it's, an unconventional approach to business, to retail, to whatever. And it's hard at first for people, they're, especially if they've been working elsewhere for years, they're used to what you're talking about, that chain of command situation. And we really, I mean, we really, i- it's empowering to the employee, and we consider our employees all family. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone, like you said, it's an extension of your business. They are our family. It's our work family.
Yeah.
And we all sort of need to be on the same page, and it works for us. It works for us here, and it's we didn't. A lot of this comes from word of mouth advertising. I mean, you take
Yeah.
care of a customer, you turn a wrong into a right. They're your customer for life, and that's really how we've grown our business over the last 90 years.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what I wanted to ask about. I think 90% or nearly 90% of your business comes from repeat customers and referrals. So that's really the secret, right? It's just somebody has a good experience and they tell their friends, they tell their family about it. And that's pretty much how you've built things. It's simplified, right? But that's basically how it works. Treat the customer right, and then you'll have more customers coming to you. But I also wanted to ask, just about how your businesses continue thriving. I mean, retail is a tough business. Obviously, a lot of other retailers have struggled or had to close up shop. What do you think the secret to that has been, and how has being family owned influenced that?
It's
I
it's
think
rare and rare to have family businesses. I mean, we just had one get bought out last week, a competitor
Yeah,
local. So for us, we've always kept to this one store for other than a few years. We've always had one store. So we have all our greatest people in one place. So
yeah,
we've never, so many companies, in retail, they expand, they get thin with their employees, and they don't have a great experience when you go there. But ours is a great experience because we were all in one spot. We really focus on the one store, and I think that has been our secret of success. The other thing that we do that people don't want to do is we don't farm anything out. We do our own
yeah,
service, we do our own deliveries, we do our own installations. We try to control everything. And by
we
doing
build our
that,
own displays in our store.
wow,
Build out our own
wow,
yes,
technology.
yeah,
We're not afraid to try new things, and if we fall, we say, okay, we tried it. We made a mistake. How can we make this better? We've incorporated tons of new technology. I mean, we were one of the first retailer e-commerce businesses in the U.S. Amazon at the time was just selling books when we started getting it, and we're like, "What are we going to sell refrigerators? No, but maybe we'll sell VCRs and cordless phones." And sure enough, the business has really evolved. We've really embraced most recently embracing AI. You know,
yeah,
our employees kind of are a bit skeptical. They think their jobs are going to be replaced, but in a 90-year history here, we've never had a round of layoffs or any of those things. We try and reaffirm them that, hey, we're not going to lose your job. We're just trying to give you tools to make your job easier and more
yeah,
efficient. So,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
our other thing we really strive for is to grow 8%.
Yeah,
For I've been there, I think, 38 years, and other than the last couple years, since a little after COVID, we've always grown 8% on average. And by doing that, you don't have layoffs. You're always expanding. You're always forced to go into new areas, and try new things. And I think that was a hard lesson for me to learn because I thought, hey, we're a nice size. we're good. And my dad's like, nah, you got to grow. And that took me a few years to understand, but it's true. You need to grow or die.
Yeah,
And over the
absolutely.
course of 90 years, if you grow 8% a year, your small little business becomes a pretty significant business.